What's up, everybody? HOAs can be great. They keep everybody's home's exterior looking similar, all the grass is mowed, the driveways are clean, and they can really keep your property value up. And without an HOA, you do face the possibility of your property value going down if the house next door doesn't keep up with their exterior. I remember showing a house to a buyer who absolutely loved the house that he was seeing, but the house next door had so much junk in the front yard. Their grass was overgrown, or I should say, their weeds were overgrown, and it just looked terrible. So my buyer decided to pass on the house. So the house for sale definitely suffered, and the property value most likely went down due to the neighborhood not being governed by aesthetic covenants. HOAs can also be an easy way to get to know your neighbors, especially if you're moving in from out of town. But there are some things that you really need to know about HOAs before you decide to buy a house that's governed by one. And don't forget, if you are getting a loan, your lender needs to know that that house isn't an HOA and all the fees involved before they will approve you for a loan for that particular house. So let's go through some of the more important things that you really should be aware of before you buy a house in an HOA. Let's dive right in. Number one, your fees or your HOA dues. The first thing you need to know about that HOA is how much are your monthly dues and what do they cover? Utilities, community amenities, lawn maintenance. Some HOAs have pools and tennis courts, a fitness center, community center. Do your dues cover these amenities? And as for utilities, some HOAs cover water, electricity, maybe even cable. You need to find out what do your dues cover as far as utilities, so you can then budget those utilities that are already included in your HOA dues in your house budget. And then you gotta know, how often do they go up? Are there any future assessments that have already been approved? For example, maybe the HOA has already approved for a brand new fitness center and they're going to assess everybody in the community to pay for that center. You need to know that, because once you buy that house, you're going to also be paying for that. So just know what you're getting into and how much it's going to cost. Okay, next up, some HOAs have really strict rules and you will be subject to those rules and regulations. So you need to know what they are. Some examples include you can't paint your front door any color you want. You got to keep it the same color as the rest of the homes. Or your height of the grass. This is a pretty common one. You got to keep your grass at a certain height or you're going to get a notice and a fine. Possibly you want to have a boat. Well, a lot of HOAs don't want to see any boats in any driveways. So that's a common one as well. I've seen HOAs even have restricted size of your pets. So if you want a big dog or something, you need to find out if there's a restriction on pet sizes. Oh, and some big ones that I've really seen in a lot of documents are the color of your deck and your shutters. And your shutters not only have to be a certain color, but that color cannot be faded or you'll get a notice, and your deck has to be a certain color, and once again, that needs to be maintained. So these are some examples, but there's plenty of others. Recently, one family here in Maryland received a violation notice for their front yard after they had intentionally created an eco-friendly oasis with a variety of plants.
Your yard into your own eco-friendly oasis. A letter from your homeowners association threatens to uproot everything. That's what happened to one Maryland couple.
There's so many things that in our lives that we have no control over. But what we do on our own patch of land, we do.
But that feeling was uprooted with this, a notice from their homeowners association.
Telling us that we had to take it all out and replace it with turf grass. Just took one person complaining. It was literally one person complaining.
In this example, this family fought back and won. They tried to resolve the dispute with the HOA, but when they couldn't, they had to go out and hire an attorney, which cost them around $60,000. And it cost the HOA around $100,000 of community money. So be prepared. You need to review your HOA docs to see if you're okay with those rules. Here in Maryland, you have 5 days to review your HOA docs once you receive them. And if you don't like what you see, you can void the contract within those 5 days. The bottom line is you gotta make sure that you really understand the rules and regulations. How much are the fines if you break one of them? What are the restrictions if you want to renovate? Can you change the exterior, which usually you can't? And do they need to approve the interior renovations? And ask questions if you have some concerns. I tell this to all my clients. Go directly to the source. Call and email them directly rather than wasting your precious review period time by asking your realtor. Next up, you need to look at the budget and the minutes. In your HOA docs, they will show you the budget and reserves. It's really important to know if they have a lot of reserves. Take the example we just went over. I am hoping that that $100K that the HOA had to spend on their attorneys came from the reserves, or at least a lot of it. If it didn't, then it came from a special assessment that went out to all the homeowners, and that means that they had to come up with extra money to pay for that attorney. So it's really important to see how much reserves that HOA has in case they need them. So look at the numbers. See how they're spending your money. Are they things that you would agree on? Because they will come up again in the future. And when is the last time the dues went up and why? Was there a special assessment that caused those dues to go up? Also, make sure you understand who is responsible for what. For the roof, for the walls. You need to know these things before you start to get insurance quotes. As for the meeting minutes, read them. See what they are discussing and if you agree with how they feel about certain things. Remember, these are your future neighbors. Okay guys, this is really important and a lot of people don't know this, but HOAs can foreclose on your home. They can file a lien if you don't pay your dues or you don't pay your fines. And this is no joke. There was a story in the news in 2022 when an HOA foreclosed on 50 homes in Denver. Or how about this story where a woman in Atlanta lost her home to an HOA for $3.24 after living there for 17 years. So you need to take the dues and the fines very seriously. Number 5, the management company. Most HOAs are run by management companies. These are usually much bigger entities than the HOA itself. So make sure you look them up and see what people are saying. How often are people being fined? Have there been a lot of complaints against the management company? Any lawsuits, past or present? Just know who you're getting in bed with. Who's on the HOA board? What are the personalities? Are they difficult? I've heard stories of power-hungry neighbors who became the HOA president and made the homeowners you didn't like lives miserable. So do your research. The best way to find this out is when you're visiting the house, even during the open house or maybe during your inspection, start to talk to their neighbors. Ask some questions. Find out how this HOA is run. Also, another good indication is how long did it take to get those HOA resale docs? Okay, this next one is also really important. I mean, I think they're all important, and I hope that you're watching this whole video to get all of them, but some of them really can affect your future, and this is one of them. Does the HOA have rental restrictions? Can you rent out your home in the future if you want to? And how many homes can be rented out at one time? This can protect you against institutional investors if only a certain amount of homes can be rented out at one time. You don't want them to be able to have a majority vote. So, for example, let's say there's 10 homes in an HOA. Make the numbers easy. If 6 of them are rented out and an institutional investor came in and bought all 6 of them, well, guess what? They're now controlling your destiny as one of the 4 that's left. You don't want that. So find out about the rental restrictions, one for your own self, for your future, in case you do want to end up renting your house out in the future, but also just so you know about the future of the whole neighborhood to see if they're going to keep you protected against institutional investors. Also, will renters bring down the value of your house? I have nothing against renters, but a homeowner does tend to take care of their home better than someone who's renting it. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you are renting, it's the landlord or the homeowner's responsibility to make sure the house is properly looked after. And finally, keep in mind, you will be paying those homeowners' dues forever. Unlike your mortgage, which will continue to go down after you pay it, your homeowners' dues, they won't. In fact, there's a good chance that they will go up, but they're never, ever gonna go away. So just keep that in mind before you buy a house in an HOA. I hope you got some value to today's video. There's a lot here, but they're all really important points if you are thinking about buying a house in an HOA. And if you are thinking about moving to Maryland, DC, or Northern Virginia, and you would like our help, just send us an email. We'll set up a Zoom. We'll get you started. And if you missed the video we did on some reasons why you may not want to move to Maryland, definitely check that out next. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. Bye!